Welcome to another episode of Simon Says, where facts come first. I'm your host, Jenny Simon. Grab your popcorn, grab your drink, your beverage of choice. Don't forget the Kool-Aid for the kids. A glass of red wine would be good, right? Get your notepad, your pen, your pencil, your tablet, your pressure pill or your heart pill. You might just need it. Call the neighbor, call the friends, call your mama and your papa, your grandma and your grandpapa, your nieces, your nephews, your auntie and your nenen. Let them know that Simon Says is on. Buckle up. We'll be right back. Thank you for tuning in to Simon Says. To ensure that you never miss an episode, click subscribe and make sure to turn on the notifications by clicking on the notification bell icon. See you at the next episode. Welcome back. Now we have a few updates, of course, and of course, the meat of the matter in the end. Let's hope we get to the meat of the matter today. It's been 3 weeks since we've been trying to get to the meat of the matter, but you know, with NDC, it's an overload. And let me tell you, the amount that slipped through the cracks that we can't keep up. We can't keep up. So first, I'll give you an update on the port. After giving the Prime Minister in a letter 10 days to respond, which ended on Friday, the 7th November 2025, the Prime Minister left the island on that day without corresponding. He had 10 days before that, well, let's say 9 days before that, to correspond to the workers, with the workers, and he left on the 10th day. A message was sent to the workers stating that the Prime Minister will meet with them on Friday, the 14th November 2025. The workers, that, so to speak, and went ahead with the down tools from Monday, the 10th November 2025, Tuesday, the 11th, and Wednesday, the 12th November 2025. On Wednesday, they met with the Minister of Labor, who said that the meeting is above her, or the issues are above her, and that they would have to meet with the Prime Minister on Friday, the 14th. The workers were asked to do a go slow instead of all down tools. Um, I believe some agreed and some did not. So right now there's a struggle, and basically it's a down tools. So hardly, if at all, anything is being done on the port from today. Well, I guess until tomorrow, and whenever they meet with the Prime Minister. Simon Says we'll keep you guys updated as the story unfolds. So I shared with you the compensation package of the Prime Minister, Deacon Mitchell, in comparison to former Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell's own. Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell, $436,281 annually, and Dr. Keith Mitchell, $104,707 annually, a difference of $331,574. I noticed persons questioning where I got my data from. So I'm happy to share my data with the public. And I was being conservative, right? I'll have you know. So go ahead and look. It came from the 2024 budget statement document, which is on your screen now. If you look, and the areas that you need to check, it's highlighted, right? It was presented by the Ministry of Finance. That is the Ministry of Finance of this NDC administration. So no hanky pank. It came from them. The data came from the government, right? It's just that people don't go and read it. People don't do that. And so they expect to get away with these things. Not with Simon Says, where facts come first. We digging in, right? So it's there. It's there for all to see. It's public. It's not hidden. It's there. I'm about to share with you is staggering $541,323, a compensation package, right? And that's annually, of course. It's even more than the prime minister's. This package belongs to Consul General of the Grenada Consulate in Dubai. Now, Mr. Zia Rahman, his monthly salary, his earnings are $17,390.88. His children's school fees, $9,531.38. And that is per month, right? The figures that I'm giving you now is per month. The 17,394, his earnings, that's per month. His rent per month, $18,188, which brings it to a total of $45,110.26 monthly. That's his package. Now we multiply that by 12. His annual package, his annual amount, $541,323.12. Now let me hasten to say here that the former consul general in Dubai, the one immediately before Mr. Rahman took position, right? Her package, her total package per month was $8,010 in comparison to $45,110, right? Her annual amount, $96,120, a difference of, drum roll, we need a drum roll for this one, $445,203.12. The difference between the former consul general's salary or package and the now Mr. Zia Rahman's package is 445,000. You're listening to this? $203.12. Can you begin to imagine this? They wondered why they broke. And guess what? The government of Grenada did not pay the former consul general's package. They were able to negotiate with the citizens by investment in Dubai who paid the bills for the consulate, everything for the consulate, and paid the consul general. So it was the government of Grenada had nothing to do with that amount of money. Only eight thousand a month compared to 45,000 a month, right? Grenada is the government of Grenada. The government of Grenada is paying for Mr. Rahman all that I said to you today. Now let me you know with Simon says we have to do this right with facts. So I want to read to you part of Mr. Rahman's first his bio that was sent to the government of Grenada. I guess that's what he got the job with. But if you listen to it, you realize that that was just a formality and that Mr. Rahman already had the job. But I guess to put it on record to say he sent in his bio. I attended Ridley College where I did the Canadian equivalent of A levels, grade 12 and 13, in 1 year. I participated in the Ridley Cadet Corps. Thereafter, I studied political science in the University of Windsor in Canada, where I founded the UNICEF on-campus chapter and graduated with honors. I gained useful insights and experience participating in campaigns during 2 federal elections. I moved back to Grenada to manage other political campaigns at the constituency level in 2008 and subsequently returned to Canada to pursue an opportunity at a Fortune 500 company in Toronto. I began my business IT career as an analyst within the Canadian region and worked my way up to production, end user testing, debugging, and rollout of new systems and tools across Brazil and the Philippines. I ended my career there as an end-to-end regional profit manager with responsibilities to the CFO and the entire eastern seaboard of the United States, from Maine to Florida. I taught myself a few programming languages to build my own platform and began my own company, which later had a few missions shifts. I've invested in real estate and have created my own proprietary system that allows me to manage my business and investments from anywhere in the world. So while Mr. Rahman is sitting in the consulate in Dubai, he can run his business from that office. I enjoy work that has the potential to positively impact upon the lives of as many people as possible. I believe in being a force for good in the world where we strive to, I am thinking this is a typo here, he has enjoying, but I believe that's supposed to be enjoy maybe, to enjoy what is good and abstain from what is not. My most recent objective has been to seek public office representing Grenada in an effort to broaden the scope of my impact and influence in imparting good to the greatest number of the longest time. Now, I agree, he probably should, from his bio here, he should probably be in frontline politics, right? Just reading the bio. I intend to use my post. Now, this is the paragraph that's interesting. I intend to use my post and any tools at my disposal to be of service to the growth, development, and prosperity of humanity. A person cannot truly be grateful to God Almighty if we are not grateful to people. It is with this mindset that I express how truly appreciative I am to my government and to the government and people of the UAE that's for this tremendous opportunity. So this hair was sent after he was given the job, right? That's his bio. Now, further to that, and I don't want to hear that he ain't paying, the government ain't paying for it and who paying, because I have the proof here. No, this is a letter to a Mr. Singh, and that is for payment for rental property, right? Consul General of Grenada. This letter is to confirm that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Trade and Export Development, acting on behalf of the government of Grenada, accepts responsibility for payment in full of the cost of associated with the rental of property detailed below for the residents of the Consul General of Grenada to Dubai, the United Arab Emirates. and the payment will be disbursed in accordance with the terms and the tenancy contract and will be remitted as per banking instructions. The ministry apologizes for the delay in receipt of the funds and the inconveniences caused because of an error in the banking details. Please be advised that we are working assiduously to resolve the matter. Thank you for understanding in this matter. They are paying his rent, his penthouse rent, for 18,000 plus. Now, this one here is to Mr. Rahman and the Consul General, and it reads, Dear Mr. Rahman, this letter serves to inform you that Cabinet at its meeting on the 2nd of October 2023 approved a special case, the payment of $114,376.62 per annum to you as financial assistance to cover the cost of the annual school fees of your children. Mr. Rahman is working for $18,000 plus. Mr. Rahman can sit in his office and do his private work, as he stated in his bio. And we are still paying $9,531.38 per month for Mr. Rahman's children's school fees. Yeah, we are. So adding his salary together with his rent and his the school fees for his children, Mr. Rahman is pulling out $45,110.26 per month, $541,323 annually. The annual amount for the former Consul General, $96,120. A difference of $445,203.12 for Mr. Rahman. A difference between the salaries, $445,203.12. And yet, for all, we have a bunch of unfinished roads, unfinished projects in Grenada, botched projects, because we're not giving it to contractors who are capable, to the professionals. We're finding all kind of little people by the wayside to give the projects to, who are doing wrong things, and we have to break up and build back, and we have to jump over walls to get to where we're going. Like the Mungo Road project, right? If you look on your screen, that's the Mungo Road project that the minister and the MP for St. John is boasting about, right? The people have to jump over walls to get to where they're going. That's the project there. Another botched job. Residents are complaining about it. The road is blocked off. They say it's contractor error. But of course it's contractor error. And all the little 50-foot and the 100-foot of road throughout the island that has halted. In the 2024 budget statement, the estimates for Dubai alone, right, was $832,196, right? That's the total amount budgeted, right? Consul General Zia Dubai's earnings, or his compensation package, what you want to call it, is 65%. 65% of what was budgeted for the entire consulate. Now, 35% would be left for rent and the running of the consulate. The utility bills, whatever they need, if they need furniture, whatever they need. 35%. The Consul General's earning alone in Dubai is quarter of the entire trade budget. So the entire budget for all of our diplomats, our diplomatic corps, wherever they are, right? Quarter of that goes to Consul General Zia Rahman. Now, ain't he special? And the question is, why? Huh? Your question right now, I could hear you saying, but why? It's mine as well. But it's called compensate, to compensate. You know, payback. But we can't afford to pave the roads on the UK SIF project. Months now. Some projects as much as a year has been on hold. 6 months is the worst. Our infrastructure is the worst it has been in 40 years. I spoke to a gentleman only this morning who lives in Trinidad. He's in the he's a contractor. And he came to Grenada recently. For a long time, he hasn't been there. And he said to me, he's shocked to see the state of the infrastructure, the roads. And he's been asking, what is going on? Now, on the Beyond the Headlines program, on Monday, the 10th November 2025, we were told that the reinstating of the roads, and listen to the word reinstating of the roads, have already started in St. Andrew, and in Grand Anse, St. George, it will begin on Wednesday, the 12th of November, 2025. The evening of Wednesday, the 12th of November, 2025, which was last evening. Yesterday was the 12th. Now, if you look on your screen, you'd see videos of the roads in Grand Anse from Point Celine to Golf Course. There's nothing there. Absolutely nothing. Now, according to the contractor, or one of the contractors, because they have several, the monies was allotted for only to cover the areas that they dug up, right? He also said that the monies were not for hot mix, but for cold mix. Something that wouldn't last, we don't know. But that's what they could afford. Although they're still not even coming up with the money. But what they could have, I guess when they did their budget, they realized they couldn't afford the hot mix, so they did it for cold mix. But that money is the monies the Minister of MIT and the Prime Minister been boasting about that they retrieved. That is the $70 million for the UK SIF project, the water and sewer project. Where is it? Where it was a grant, right? So, according to the gentleman, the consultant, right? That part of the delay was, of course, for the testing of the pipes, the pressure testing of the pipes. Well, just to see, here, I did my research, of course, because I ain't sitting down and listening to that. I saw the supporters, the defenders on Facebook. I was in a thread with one, and he said, oh, you have to know that they have to have the testing done. How long? So I called relevant persons, engineers, even the gentleman that I spoke to this morning. I asked again, although I had the information, right, about the testing and how long it takes for the testing to be done, right? And I came up with a slightly different story to what we've been told. As I understand it, the testing for leaks, the complete backfill and covering should not take more than 2 weeks. 2 weeks max, which should be in the schedule, in the construction schedule. All of that should have been tied into the construction schedule. The pipes have to be brought up and about 1.5 times the maximum operating pressure, right? The pipes have to be brought up to about 1.5 times the maximum operating pressure, then physically inspected or whatever other method they have available to use, right? And to be checked for the leaks. And that actual process, the test itself, should take no more than 4 to 8 hours. Word on the ground is that one, the government is scarce on financial resources. We don't know. In other words, they broke, right? Which according to their mid-year review 2025, they are broke. I'll come to that a little later. And two, they have asphalt issues. Currently, the asphalt plant, the private one in Bushejou, that the Prime Minister told us about most arrogantly in the Parliament. Let's hear what he had to say in an interview about this asphalt plant.
Right, so the group training by the name of Reno is setting up an asphalt plant. Because of the size of the equipment and so on associated with asphalt plants, we've entered an arrangement with them that will allow them to host it temporarily at the government sites in Bushejou. Asphalt is the, in a sense, the end product of all of the things that are required to get you to the point where you need to pave the road. We have some significant strategic challenges in Grenada. We only have one quarry that's operational. That's the quarry at Mount Hackman. That quarry is operated by one entity. We have significant challenges just in terms of getting the aggregates out and by extension getting asphalt in the quantities that we need. And that's one of the major reasons for the state of the roads. Now this is a historic problem, and I think we could go and look at the reasons why it has happened. You see, historically one company has gotten all the contracts to do road construction in Grenada. One of the things that has not happened in Grenada is that people have been given road contracts to build the roads, and they don't give them contracts to maintain the roads. And the government, the former government essentially has decimated the Ministry of Infrastructure's ability to actually even do basic things like road maintenance and road repairs. Everything was outsourced in a very ad hoc and non-systematic manner. I mean, I'm saying basic things like we don't even have a pothole truck. That is why when you go on the roads, people are not cutting the roads and getting back to the foundation and then redoing the foundation and then asphalting. They're just simply patching. So I'm saying the reality is to get to the point where we can change that, it needs equipment change, it needs personnel change, it needs training change, it needs engineering change. Those things don't happen overnight. And the patching of the roads isn't something that happened yesterday. It's been, frankly, if I may say, all my life, that seems to be what we do. So what we're seeking to do is to try and create more fundamental changes. We have major roads that will need major contractors to repair and maintain the roads. We have secondary roads that we believe we can build the local capacity of all people to be able to do so. In Grenada, there's only one, except CCC. There's this CCCI or CCC, whatever the acronym is, that does major road construction, and then you have Mr. Budla's company that does secondary. After that, there's somebody else who's doing any kind of major asphalt work. So for us to be able to get to the point where we can properly repair and maintain the roads, we are going to have to bring expertise. We got to invite private contractors to come in. Reno is one of them. We are looking at others and seeking to get them to come in so that we can look at addressing the infrastructure.
Now the question was asked about the problems with the government. Now I believe what was supposed to be asked is about the financing, because the contractor has been complaining that they have not been getting paid on all the jobs, right? So it should have been directly, but let's hear what was said.
Speaking of that, I understand that a lot of the problems with the delays at the Cliff project was because stuff that had to be handled from the government end wasn't handled.
That's nonsense. The honest truth is, this is just my view, and I don't want to get into a public spat about this. You would have had minor things like being able to, Grenada had to move some of the poles and so on. that ought not have handicapped most of the work that needed to be done. So the truth is, and I'm saying this openly, contractors in Grenada need to take themselves seriously, and they need to take government work seriously. I've fought for the last 2.5 years for them to get government work. They need to invest in their businesses, they need to invest in their personnel, and they need to devote resources to projects when they're given, and they need to begin and complete them in a timely manner. There's only so much the government can do for them. If you're serious about the contracts that you get, you will take it seriously and you will deliver. This is not just a challenge. You see many Caribbean countries that challenge persists. But we are doing everything to try and empower contractors. They also have to take their responsibilities seriously to make sure that they can deliver and deliver work on time. Right? So when a contractor is given a road, the public can judge by themselves whether the road is being built to the standards that the public expects. And so it is important for us to make sure that we hold contractors accountable. There's been a culture of not holding them accountable, and that's the truth.
Well, I'm guessing Grenlex still have poles to move because this is what's going on the Cliff project, right? What is going on there? And you blame the blame game, the government thing and the contractors, and they must do what they have to do, and the government could only do so much. Yes, the government could pay the people. That's what they're asking for. They have staff to pay, even though they put up some money to start the project. You have to give them a little something every now and again. And that's what they're asking for. Now, I'm beyond the headlines. The senior engineer, Mr. Ronald Lane, Mr. Ronald Lane, in charge of the G Cruise project in St. Andrew, was asked point blank, do we have sufficient asphalt on the island? This was his answer.
Do we have sufficient asphalt on island to resurface St. Andrew?
All these projects?
And then the south, absolutely. That's the question.
Well, I think I've been told that there's more than one plant, right? There's CCCI. I also heard that Renault's also supplying asphalt too. I don't think it's a problem because CCCI has been producing most of the asphalt in the country so far, and has been, all the plant has expanded, right? So it now can take a larger volume, right? So actually I don't think there will be a problem.
So your contractors who will be delivering by the 22nd of November have not signaled an issue with the resurfacing?
No.
And go ahead.
Well, we would hear things, right? We will always hear people say some excuse or some reason, but as if it's true, right?
So, so my question is, has the contractor said to you, Mr. Senior Engineer, we're good or we're challenged?
They will always say they're challenged because money is always an issue. Right?
No, but that's not, I'm talking asphalt now.
No,
so,
but I'll give you the answer.
Right.
If you come to me to do something, right, and I find like, let me say I'm taking too long to do it, first thing I'll jump and tell is, well, I don't have a problem. It might be many reasons for that problem. It might be a financial issue, it might be a resource issue, right, or it could be a human supply issue, but it's which one you'll end up believing, right? As far as I'm concerned right now, to date, we should not have no issue, right? Now you might say, oh, Mr. Lane, you're not answering the question directly, but it's not that. There is no issue to date, right? So I do not expect any problems in going forward. That's why I could tell you that the contractor has given me his word and his completion date.
Okay.
Right? But I can tell you all the G Cruise project supposed to finish on the 31st of December. We expect all the paving of the roads to be completed before that mandate. Right, so at least the roads will be up and ready. Now, with St. Andrews, as I said before, the roads are being paved right now. The base course is being put down, and I expect to see this work at least completed in the next 2 weeks.
Money is always an issue with this NDC administration. Yes, I know the host didn't want to hear about that. He was running from the money talk. He just wanted to know about the asphalt. But the only issue Mr. Lane seemed to know about so far is the money issue, right? Mr. Lane, what is clear though is that Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell wants nothing to do with CCI and asphalt, nor aggregates for that matter. You have heard him earlier that he couldn't even pronounce CCCCCI. That really wants nothing to do. But CCCCI, they're stuck with CCCCI. And we know why. It's because of the bribery. So no matter how they try to get rid of CCI, remember the Prime Minister said in a town hall in St. Patrick that they have distanced themselves from CCCCI and they'll be no longer on the project on the cliff. CCI is still on the project on the cliff. They sit down there, whether they walk in or they get it or they not get it paid, but they're there because eventually they will get paid, right? Because they can't get rid of them. And this deal was what they said ironclad. Steel was in cement. It's stuck there with Mr. Louison from CCCCI. The whole thing go unfold in the public for all waiting on me. I waiting on all. It go unfold. It already started to. It's going to unfold, and it wouldn't come from me. It wouldn't come from me. Now, let's hear, and this is for Mr. Lane's purposes. Mr. Lane, hear what the Prime Minister had to say about CCCI. So if CCCCI, they're not using aggregates and hot mix asphalt from CCCCI, and it don't seem like the one in Bouchejou got off the ground yet, then we in trouble.
The issue with the roads, a lot of concerns about the state of the road, asphalt and accessing asphalt was a big issue. I understand that you've taken measures to try to deal with that. Can you tell me about the asphalt plant that's being put in Bouchejou?
Right, so the group training by the name of Reno is setting up an asphalt plant. Because of the size of the equipment and so on associated with asphalt plants, we've entered an arrangement with them that will allow them to host it temporarily at the government sites in Bouchejou. Asphalt is the, in a sense, the end product of all of the things that are required to get you to the point where you're able to pave the road. We have some significant strategic challenges in Grenada. We only have one quarry that's operational. That's the quarry at Mount Hackman. That quarry is operated by one entity. We have significant challenges just in terms of getting the aggregates out and by extension getting asphalt in the quantities that we need, and that's one of the major reasons for the state of the roads. Now, this is a historic problem, and I think we could go and look at the reasons why it has happened. You see, historically, one company has gotten all the contracts to do road construction in Grenada.
You've heard him. Now he continued, where he couldn't even say the name of the company. He wasn't sure the acronyms for the company that they hired, that Andy hired to do the work on the cliff.
One of the things that has not happened in Grenada is that people have been given road contracts to build the roads, and they don't give them contracts to maintain the roads. And the government, the former government, essentially has decimated the Ministry of Infrastructure's ability to actually even do basic things like road maintenance and road repairs. Everything was outsourced in a very ad hoc and non-systematic manner. I mean, I'm saying basic things like we don't even have a pothole truck. That is why when you go on the roads, people are not cutting the roads and getting back to the foundation and then redoing the foundation and then asphalting. They're just simply patching. So I'm saying the reality is to get to the point where we can change that, it needs equipment change, it needs personnel change, it needs training change, it needs engineering change. Those things don't happen overnight. And the patching of the roads isn't something that happened yesterday. It's been, frankly, if I may say, all my life, that seems to be what we do. So what we're seeking to do is to try and create more fundamental changes. We have major roads that will need major contractors to repair and maintain the roads. We have secondary roads that we believe we can build the local capacity of our people to be able to do so. In Grenada, there's only one, except CCC. There's this CCCCI or CCC, whatever the acronym is, that does major road construction, and then you have Mr. Budla's company that does secondary. After that, there's nobody else who's doing any kind of major asphalt work. So for us to be able to get to the point where we can properly repair and maintain the roads, we are going to have to bring expertise. We got to invite private contractors to come in. Reno is one of them. We are looking at others and seeking to get them to come in so that we can look at addressing the infrastructure issues.
So what happened to Reno's asphalt plant, Prime Minister? In the Parliament, you told us that it needed parts I think they needed 2 parts or something, and they didn't get the parts yet because it seems like there's a hold up with the asphalt plant in Boucher-Joux. Mr. Lane seemed to know that there's a money issue though. Something, as I said, the host obviously wanted to stay away from. As far as the asphalt, we never got a straight answer, but we will soon find out. According to Mr. Lane, in the GCRU's project, that's supposed to be finished by the end of November. Actually, he gave a date, the 22nd of November. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt and I'm bringing it to the end of November. I don't understand the 22nd of November bit. We also learned that the UKSIF project, according to Mr. Nigel John, the project consultant or project coordinator, the resurfacing of the road will begin on Wednesday, the 12th December 2025, by night. The more suitable word, he said, for resurfacing is reinstating, because they're not doing the complete road across. They're just doing where they dug up.
So UKSIF?
Well, we're actually not going to repave the roads at all. No, what we have going on, the contractor has actually indicated, and we met on this morning, and on Wednesday night, well, you know, it's night works
Right.
happening on the Grand Lands Main Road because of how busy it is during the day. So the contractor has assured us that on Wednesday, which would be Wednesday, the November. Today is what, the 10th?
Yeah. Today's the 12th.
No.
Wednesday would be the 12th.
Wednesday would be the 12th, right.
Correct.
So Wednesday the 12th, so the night of Wednesday the 12th, is when the resurfacing shall begin.
Okay.
Now, I must hasten to say that we're bringing forward the resurfacing because just as with any pipe installation, and as Ronald would have mentioned, the typical chronology would be you install the pipe, you do the temporary, the backfilling,
right.
You don't resurface, you complete pressure testing, and then, however, in the instance of the roads down in the south, in the Grand Lands, Caliste, Boynesley, and so on, the stress that is being expressed by road users, business owners, residents, and so on, is that it is now becoming unbearable for them. That is what they're expressing. So we're actually moving ahead with road reinstatement, the permanent reinstatement, prior to completion of the pressure testing. Now, we might say, well, should we take that risk? It's a calculated risk. Pressure testing has commenced, and the first of the pressure testing has been successfully completed. We are also looking at the experience of Gilbert and Partners Engineering Company in that sort of work, and it's a pretty good track record. So it's really a calculated risk. So we consider that if indeed there is some issue, we don't expect that issue to be pervasive. We don't expect it to be all over.
So, according to the consultant, they are bringing forward the reinstating, right, of the road. Weeks, if not a good couple of months now, the area is finished. And he's still saying they're bringing it forward without doing the testing in some areas. So you are covering and paving or reinstating, to use your words, without testing in some areas. Is that what you're saying? Because the people are becoming impatient? And no, according to chronological order of the construction, you are bypassing that. What has to be done when and how? Because the people are becoming impatient. Who does that? If it has to be done, it has to be done. Is that because it's already done? You just don't have the resources, both the material and the cash. But you're fighting and trying to do something now because people are getting impatient indeed. And since the rain and the water dug up the road, it's like going through a volcano to get to where to and from work and home and where you're going, right? Is it because the government don't have the resources needed? So you probably managed to muster up a little kakada and to get some coal mix from God knows where, maybe same CCI, right? And so you're trying to start. But that's the thing with giving people timelines. Because you said on there that you are going to start on Wednesday evening, and nothing is done so far. Now, did Mr. John say they are going to be reinstating as was before? He said that, right? They were going to reinstate as was before, meaning that they're only covering what they dig up, that part of the road that they dug up. But that is not according to what the Prime Minister told us in Parliament. In fact, he said the delay on repaving the southern roads was because of the UKSIF project, which of course, he explained, and we all know that they would have to dig the road. So they waited for that to happen so then they can do one thing and pave. Now we're hearing from Mr. John that they're going to just cover back what they dug up, not with the same material, right? And that the government is responsible for paving the rest. Let's hear the Prime Minister.
It's been set up in Boucheju. We are waiting on two other parts. It's a private sector plant. We have simply, in an attempt to get this matter dealt with, offered a space to put a plant. We were originally trying to get the plant to Pearls. And this is where we have to understand how the challenges we have with our infrastructure. The plant couldn't pass through the Paradise Bridge because it's too large. And the only other attempt to get it, you'd have to barge it around Telescope, which then creates all kinds of safety challenges. So the plant had to sit in Lagoon Road for 2 months until we figured out whether there was sufficient space at Boucheju. Hopefully, the parts come soon and we are good. But when you have the plant, now you need aggregates. Who controls the aggregates? A competitor. So you'll have issues about whether you will even get the aggregates and the price at which you will get it. So, Mr. Speaker, if that's the case, we will have to import the aggregates. Now, to import aggregates in large enough quantities to make a difference, if it has to come to the port of St. George, we got problems, because then you'd have to have huge trucks hauling this to get to Boucheju. Traffic and environmental challenges. It therefore means, Mr. Speaker, we have to find a way to barge this via sea up to the Boucheju area. So a lot of us talk and like to make mischief, and I want to start, I'm going to segue a little, because road construction is not, it's not cutting checks to farmers. It is complex, difficult, dirty work. You need to import the bitumen. The contractor is not importing bitumen in quantities that allows us to have any sustained asphalt. It may have cash flow problems, I don't know. We don't have control over this. We have talked to the ministry about how we now import bitumen ourselves to see how we can help the contractor to be able to address this issue. And that's just 2 little roads, you know. We now need to resurface the entire Eastern Main Road, from Point Saline Airport, Maurice Bishop International Airport, to the Sugar Mill Roundabout, from the Sugar Mill Roundabout to the Woodlands Junction, or what is sometimes called Stinky Bridge. The Woburn Road is probably going to have to get some work after the heavy traffic that is enduring because of the stoppage of the access to the roads from Woburn. If you take from the cliff all the way to Egmont Junction, it's as bumpy as they come. And that's just the eastern branch. We ain't talking about Grand Nan's Main Road, which needs to be completely resurfaced. But there are other complications, Mr. Speaker. We wanted to resurface Grand Nan since last year. But we have the Southern Water and Sewage Project from the UKSIF, which means we are going to have to run significant new water pipe infrastructure, and unfortunately, there are no easements. We know a lot of these homes are literally in the road, and so the pipes have to be run in the road. I think we would all understand that if we resurfaced the road last year, and then starting April or May this year, we see tractors coming and digging and ripping up half of the road to lay pipes, everybody go actively mad, and if we can't plan. So to some extent, Mr. Speaker, we have to await this project. We had a debriefing yesterday. We are hoping that construction, as in the actual laying of the pipes, could start in April. This is a 9-month project. So there's going to be significant inconvenience on the Grandlands Main Road if this starts in April for the next 9 to 10 months before we can resurface the entire road. We are hoping, nonetheless, that we can get the Morris Bishop to Sugar Mill part done and the Sugar Mill to Woodlands area done. The Mabuya area in St. John, we've talked about it. Now that we've completed the Molyneux Bridge, it still has to be properly surfaced. And the reason it's not properly surfaced, again, is because we don't have asphalt. So we can do little coal mix in pearls, but that is not adequate for the main roads in particular. So, Mr. Speaker, what we are facing here, as alluded to by my friend, is significant capacity issues. Having said that, we intend to find innovative ways to address this issue. So, working with the Ministry of Finance, we have agreed that we will put out expressions of interest, inviting private persons to express interest in designing, building, maintaining, and I want to add this maintenance part. Because what has happened in the past, Mr. Speaker, is people have gotten contracts for the roads, and there is no maintenance component of it. And then financing. So let me repeat that. We are going to ask persons to express interest in financing the road construction, designing it, building it, and maintaining it. Why financing? Because, Mr. Speaker, the budget doesn't even account for the cost of what will be involved in repairing our roads. The Woburn to Cliff piece alone is about 20 million. So, by mere deduction.
Well, I don't have to say it again. Prime Minister said it really. They have not even budgeted for that because they don't have the money. And so now they're looking to have people, contractors, do everything. You heard him, the designing, the financing, the maintaining. I guess you put your money up front and we'll pay, or the road will belong to the contractor, because you know that some people that they're not getting paid anytime soon. So what? After when the road is finished and they not get paid, who the road belongs to? Hmm? And who is the we? Prime Minister, when you're speaking about the asphalt plant, you keep saying we. Who's the we you've mentioned, Prime Minister? Hmm? Because you've stated up front that the plant is a private plant and that you are only helping out the situation with storage and placement, right? You stored it in the lagoon and then you gave them Bushiju to put it. No, you said you wanted to put it in Pearls. The plant couldn't go up cross the Paradise Bridge. Now you should have sent a message to deceased Prime Minister Eric Machugeri and ask him how he had planned to bring the banana boat up the Paradise River. Up the Paradise River. So we might have been able to pass the plant of the Paradise River. No, that's a joke, right? We had to lighten up a little bit because I tell you, if you go to take on this stress we have here as an administration, it's probably the reason for a lot of people with mental health issues. And it's serious, right? Young people hanging themselves, they walking the roads, start crazy, persons with strokes and brain aneurysm and that type of thing. So many. It makes you wonder, right? Now, where did the asphalt come from that we used on the Mankuma Road? And the southern and the western road projects that was done years ago, and still holding up pretty good in some places, right? It's like this is the first set of roadworks Grenada has ever done. Well, he did say that the drains in St. David's was the first in, was it 150 years? He did say that. So maybe that's the first we're doing roads in what, 200-300 years maybe? Utter nonsense. Utter nonsense. Excuses, kicking the can down the road, kicking the can, just to say that you're broke. And you really don't have the money to do the roads. We've been doing roads, we've been paving roads. You said you were waiting on the UKSIF project to pave the road, so pave it. Now on the Bob report, let's hear what the CTO had to say on the whole asphalt thing, because this is an issue. It seems to be a big issue for the Ministry of Infrastructure and by extension the government of Grenada.
Yeah, definitely, it is something that we we are concerned about. The reality of the situation is that plant that is set up in Bushiju is what you call it is referred to as a mobile asphalt plant. So it is meant to be moved. It is really just a temporary measure to give us a bit of respite in the wake of the damages we've seen post the heavy rains in November. So it is not a long-term move by us. It is actually something that and that kind of segues us into the development in Woodford as well, because the intention there is to set up a more permanent, should I say, asphalt plant. That in itself is a private development by the Construction and Industrial Equipment Limited company.
Would that be, and this is where I want Mr. Hector to come in. So what you're saying is that the facility in Bushiju is temporary until that facility in Woodford becomes the permanent place for that. Now, what about go ahead.
Oh yeah, sorry, right, yeah. So so the main role of that plant is to at least give us some additional capacity to do some paving. But the long-term plan is not for that plant to remain in Bushiju. In terms of the exact time frame for it to be there, I can't give you an exact time frame.
Well, Mr. Blanche, the resident, some might say, well, if it's a mobile facility, why put it there? Why is it there in the middle? It's close to a preschool. It's close to the playing field. It's close to many residences. The Chinese-funded housing project is there. What about the one in Perseverance? Could it not have been placed there?
So the one in Perseverance is also a private facility as well. Right?
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, the government owns the land in Bushiju. We currently produce coal mix asphalt there as well. So if I'm not mistaken, there are probably some fumes that are emitted from that site already.
So I guess there are fumes already. So just add more fumes and kill people in the area. Just get rid of them there. Now, is it true, Prime Minister, besides the fact that your government is broke, our roads remain in deplorable conditions because you refuse to order asphalt from CCI, and that you are awaiting the Renos asphalt plant, that is not yet producing asphalt? Folks, the Ministry of Infrastructure is operating with no elasticity and limited capacity. And the line minister, Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell, continues to make excuses for their incompetence and ineptitude. We know construction is not just cutting checks, as he said. The question is, Prime Minister, do you know that? Or the ministry would not be in the mess it's in at the moment. According to Dr. Justin Spear's data, the performance category is weak. The raw performance, 37%. and the normalized probability 0.9. You see, folks, money is the problem, or the lack thereof, rather. The fiscal summary, July 2025, is out. And as the saying goes, water white. Now, if you look on your screen, you would see the summary up, the slides, and we're going to go to slide number 1. Revenue collected in July totaled 97.1 million, which was 3.8 million below target. This shortfall was primarily driven by weaker performance in taxes on domestic goods and services. Compared to July 2024, collections in July 2025 were 162.9 million lower, reflecting the exceptional revenues received from the CRIF payout and the CBI program. So in other words, in 2024, the CRIF monies, $118 million, and monies from the CBI program was used as padding. Remember, to get out of that $144 million deficit that they were in. So you see what happened this year? We ain't had no CIF money, right? Or CRIF, I'm sorry. We have no CRIF monies. And so, and of course, the CBI well is drying up. Further down in the review, we see where the government is actually subsidizing the IMA, right? Or what we used to call it before they move it, the Citizen by Investment program, right? So we see here that we're falling short by millions, right? 162.9 million lower, right? So what is important to note is that the government did not meet its own target, but even worse, the shortfall of $162.9 million. Now let's move to slide 3. Expenditure performance, current expenditure, right? Let's read here from slide 3, and it says current expenditure exceeds projections in July 2025 by 4.6 million, reaching 89.4 million, which was 25.7 million higher than the current spending in the corresponding period of last year. Now, total recurrent expenditure stood at 540.3 million for the period January to July 2025, 56.4 million below programmed level. However, this performance was 46.4 million more than the 493.9 million realized during the same period in 2024, driven primarily by higher transfers and subsidies related to pension payments and IMA expenses. Now we're getting somewhere. We are spending more than we are collecting, right? We are spending more than the revenues collected, as shown in this slide if you look at it carefully. But we are spending 25.7 million more on recurrent expenditure, right? Just to show off. As I always say, show off is an expensive thing. Just to sustain the lifestyle of this government, we are spending more than we are making. Recurrent expenditure refers to the regular ongoing costs necessary for the daily operation and maintenance of the government, such as salaries, utilities, rents, and supplies. Now, even an ordinary housewife knows that spending more than you make is a recipe for disaster. It was concurred by the then chairman of the FROC, Mr. Richard Duncan. No, the FROC is the Fiscal Resilience Oversight Committee established by the former administration to oversee the economy of the country and to report to the people directly of its performance. No, we've been getting praise for this FROC that was established by the New National Party all over the world. I've been to a meeting with the IMF when they were here this last trip, and they can't done speaking about the FROC, and we were told at that meeting that international countries, regional countries, are now following that what would you call it? Is that what the government like to talk about? Pilot. That project, the Frog Project. A lot of countries are now using it in the same way, and so we must thank the NNP for that. Really. Now, here is a clip of Mr. Richard Duncan after the 2013 elections, when the NNP came back in office and needed to fix the economy, bring it back up to scratch, and they were taking all sorts of measures to help do so. Here is what Mr. Richard Duncan had to say then.
These, according to FROC chairman Mr. Richard Duncan, are very important achievements for Grenada, giving the country a good scorecard so far.
The rate of growth of primary expenditure should not exceed 2%. In other words, primary expenditure, right, is like a recurrent cost. So there's a way in which this should grow over time. And the government in 2016 grew primary expenditure to under the 2%.
Right.
Now this is good. Why is it good? I made the point from the very beginning. When you spend more than you collect, you will be in problems. So you got to control your spending, and the target is no more than 2%, okay?
Right.
Per annum. And then the fifth point here in the table is that the primary balance, and now here we're looking at the balance now, the difference between what you earn and what you spend, that gives you a balance. And when you get that balance, you express it as a percentage of gross domestic product. If you continue on that trajectory, it means that you are on a good wicket for the future. But you already have a stock of debt that you need to bring under control. And then we could go up now to the debt to GDP ratio. All right? And that is where the target is, it should not exceed 55%. So you're above now. We all know that we are working towards bringing it under control. Right.
The FROC is the first in the Caribbean to be structured in the way Grenada's committee is set up, making this country a trailblazer in the Caribbean.
Yes, we are trailblazers. Yes, it's a model that other countries can follow. And the message really, you know, you don't have to wait until you are in deep pain to realize that something needs to be done. I think, you know, as a civilization, we all should know by now that if certain things are done consistently and repeatedly, there are certain outcomes that we will face. There's no getting away from it. And therefore, even though there are countries that may not have experienced recent crises to the extent that we have, smart people will want to look for the cutting edge in anything, whether it's governance, technology, and adapt it so that they would keep the country, you know, on the upward trajectory all the time.
Now, as I said, this was after the 2013 elections when Grenada was on the rebound. Mr. Richard Duncan is now the finance advisor to the Prime Minister and the government of Grenada, the chairman of the CBI Board of Directors, and a member of the Oil and Gas Technical Working Committee, to name a few, just a few. According to Mr. Duncan, when you spend more than you collect, you will end up in problems. Case in point, where we are today, where Grenada is today. The government is now spending 25.7 million more, higher than the current spending in the corresponding period of last year, 2024. Now let's move to the final slide. The fiscal summary year to date, fiscal summary year to date. Granted, the government is way behind because we're in November. And this document here is of July, right? So we are a good couple of months behind. The overall balance, January to July 2025, actual is 55.1 million in the red, a deficit of $55.1 million, right? This means the deficit is widening, because when I came to you in June with the June fiscal summary, right, we were 30 million in the red. We had a deficit of 30 million in June, right? 25 million more from June to July. The recurrent expenditure, nothing in the productive sector, right? Now, in slide 8, under recurrent expenditure by category, the IMA or slash CBI subvention, of which transfer and subsidized, or subsidies rather, $12.4 million was given to the IMA by the government of Grenada. So the government, in other ways, subsidized the IMA. Now remember, they've been hiding it from us for the past few summaries, and so even in the budget, we were not seeing. They never put the amount the government was given to the IMA. Well, we finally saw that they have a $12.4 million, right? Imagine the government is subsidizing the CBI, our IMA, and they've just moved their office from where they were not paying a rent to the Galleria Mall recently. I guess because they're men of class, right? Now that the CBI, the well is drying up, you see how they do things. Let's just move. Let's just spread out. Know that the well is drying up. Here, look at the clip where they basically showing off.
The Investment Migration Agency, IMA, officially opened its first home on Wednesday at the Galleria Mall in St. George's. The new facility, which features an elegant lobby, spacious conference room, and modern workstations, was described as a long-standing dream realized for the board of directors and staff. Thomas Anthony, Chief Executive Officer of IMA Grenada, expressed pride in the new office, noting that it reflects the agency's significant contribution to the national economy.
To all stakeholders, we look forward to continuing to serve you better and welcoming you into this new space, and a space that the IMA is extremely proud of. To the IMA team, I say, we did it. We now have an office space befitting of the work that we do, and the contribution we make to the economy and nation building. Once again, thank you for coming. It is our distinct pleasure to share with you a space that we look forward to coming into every day.
Richard Duncan, chairman of IMA Grenada, encouraged the staff to remain consistent in their duties while meeting the high expectations of clients.
The facade and the ambience are important and no doubt necessary for, good working relationship, your mental space and stuff like that. The brand are equally important, which we have launched and we are very proud of. However, the inner workings of the organization, the mental processes that the staff go through day by day, the CEO and his leadership team as well as the CBI is what is going to really and truly bring the baking home and justify the no doubt significant investment made so far. So I just wanted to share that random thought with you, and to also make the point that we expect productivity and production to increase.
Prime Minister and Minister responsible for the Investment Migration Agency, Honorable Dickon Mitchell, said the new office represents government's recognition of the agency's importance and confidence in the long-term viability of Grenada's investment migration industry.
The proceeds from the investment migration industry has funded significant domestic projects. It has allowed the government to manage its finances prudently, and it has played a significant role in our debt reduction strategy because when we obtained the debt restructuring, a key part of that was a key part of incentivizing our bondholders to agree to the debt restructuring was our commitment that we would use proceeds from the investment migration industry to pay down and to make balloon payments to the bondholders in the event our industry was successful. And for 2024 and 2023 in particular, we've made significant payments. I think, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere in the region of $75 million additional payments to our bondholders.
So we make it, just spend it, let's show off, let's spend it, forgetting that that's our only lifeline and it's dwindling, right? So let's just spend it in rent then. They continue to hang their hat where their hands can't reach. Now, since the publication of Dr. Justin Pear's document on travels of Prime Minister Dickon Mitchell, a caption, Counting the Cost of Prime Minister Dickon Mitchell, June 2022 to October 2025, quite a lot has happened. What is blatantly clear is that there is an all-out campaign to destroy Dr. Pear and his credibility and the credibility of his company, where he is a director, the company Dune Pear and Barnett and Company Canada Limited, and Kankara Research. Now, between the New Today newspaper and the NDC surrogates, party and the government members, the aim is to destroy the gentleman's character and credibility. Why? Because he has released data, first of all, that suggests if the election due in 2027 was held today, in this period, the NDC will lose the election to the NNP. And to compound the situation, a couple of weeks later, he released documents captioned Counting the Cost of Prime Minister Dickon Mitchell's travel from June 2022 to October 2025, which conservatively, by the way, because the first class ticket that he said was $3,000, it's in the vicinity of $5,000 and up, right? And I'm almost certain the Prime Minister traveled more than 51 times over the past 3 years. And I'll tell you why. Because there are times when the Prime Minister leaves the island and there's no release from the government saying to us that the prime minister's travel. And there are some times that we only find out because of the media from the countries in at the time. But we're dealing with the World Wide Web now. So you can't go to Guyana, for instance. Remember Likitiki, Likitiki, Likitiki? We found that out. They never told us that he was going to Likitiki down in Guyana, right? And when he went to meet Dangote for the first time, we were never told that until the media exposed it. So according to Mr. Dr. Pear's data, I'm only seeing one trip to Dubai. And we know that's not so. We know that's not so. So Dr. Pear's analysis, the document, was a very conservative one, but it's still vexed. In a WhatsApp message sent to George Worm of the New Today newspaper, dated the 11th of November 2025, it reads, "Dear Mr. George Worm, I'm exhausted by the ongoing harassment by your newspaper and other operatives. If it continues, I'll have to officially inform the Prime Minister, Honorable Deacon Mitchell, about the threats, bullying, and intimidation I have been receiving from you, other NDC members, and NDC social media team. This is affecting my mental health, career, and well-being. I have documentation from an NDC insider warning me to stop criticizing the party and government of Grenada and instead write positively about them." He also told me that he was asked that he write something positive about the Prime Minister's travel, right? If he didn't comply, they threatened to slander my name. This is tantamount to blackmail, as you and your team are attempting to disrupt my mental state and adversely affect my ability to generate income. This is comparable to political intimidation and victimization, as it attempts to disrupt the democratic process. If this continues, I'll ask my government to get involved and to also inform the US State Department. I am aware of my rights. Now, when he said his government, it's because he's a Canadian citizen who lives in Canada. Now, they called his job and spoke to his boss in Canada, seeking information on him. They called the university he attended, trying to get information on him. And when they didn't, they came out with their own, making their own statements, claiming his PhD was fake. Now, the university refused to give them information over the phone, right? And without knowing who it is, and without the okay from Mr. Pear himself, right? And here is what Mr. Worm had to say. I have been investigating his academic qualifications to determine whether or not he has a duly accredited doctorate from an authentic university. Now, I didn't hear nobody investigating Ron Redhead's his qualifications, his praxis and so. Nobody did that, and it's right here in SGU, right? With that, a letter went from the university, right? Charisma University, Turks and Caicos Island, to Mr. George Worm. And that is because Mr. Justin Pear, Dr. Justin Pear, gave the go-ahead to the university to do so. It reads, Dear George, good morning. As an institution that holds triple accreditation with 2 accreditations from the United States, we are bound to keep all students' record confidential and not to disclose or discuss students' information with a third party without consent of the students who owns the record. It continued, since Dr. Cleophas Justin Pear has now given us his consent to disclose his graduation status to you, please be advised that Cleophas Justin Pear graduated with a PhD in business administration from Charisma University in 2019. In fact, he was our 2019 valedictorian at the commencement ceremony. Please see the 2019 commencement ceremony video. Now you'd go and check that out for yourself. We'll put up copies of the video and copies of other documents that were supplied to me by Dr. Pear and other correspondents. Meanwhile, we have someone with a questionable doctorate posing as advisor to the government of Grenada with a 33-page thesis for a doctorate, 33 pages, from a place called Atlantic International University, UIA. Google it yourselves, people. Please, I want some of you to Google it and message me in comments as to what you found. AIU has been questioned and is considered by some to be a fake or a diploma mill due to its non-traditional distance learning model and the lack of recognition by official US accreditation bodies, while AIU claims accreditation from the Accreditation Service for International Schools, Colleges, and Universities, ASIC. This is not the same as being recognized by the US Department of Education, which led to the withdrawal of its PhD degrees by the government of Rwanda and other places. Now, Facebook, John Kalu, 30 plus reactions in 2 months ago. Yes, Atlantic International University, AIU, is considered a fake or a diploma mill. AIU is described as fake and fraudulent, and persons are allowed to purchase diplomas. I am asking you, listeners, and the public at large, Mr. George Worm, to go and research the institution Atlantic International University, the AIU, where our advisor got his PhD. At least Mr. Justin Pear's PhD is real. No wonder the comfort in changing Ron Redhead's grades, his failing grades, to a pass grade. Fraud seems to be in his DNA. And while you're at it, Mr. George Worm, please investigate Andy Williams on the bribery accusations by yours truly and the Build Back Better project, where millions was apparently spent with very little to show for it. And while you're there at MIT, investigate the movement of monies in that ministry, why they are giving service providers checks to change, why they are paying them in cash, giving big tips, where are they getting the monies? Because according to the Minister of Finance, it is illegal for any other ministry to dabble with cash but the Ministry of Finance, right? You have some more investigations to do instead of trying to destroy the gentleman because you all don't like what his data shows at this point. When he showed that the NDC was going to win the last election, and you all indeed did, you all hugged him up and kissed him up and love him up, right? Also, Mr. George Rom, I would like for you to investigate the National Lottery Authority and the chairman of the board, Mr. William Batiste, and his girlfriend, the managing director of the NLA, Ms. Cindy Henry, and stop harassing Mr. Justin Pay for doing his job. The blind could see that the NDC is a failed administration, and the ground has shifted from underneath them since the 2022 elections. It's even worse that it looks on this than it looks on the surface because of the bullying and the fear mongering. Most citizens are afraid of and thus remains quiet. Folks, it bothers me the mob style politics the NDC is practicing. Anyone who dares to express their First Amendment rights, the rights of freedom of speech, is demonized, victimized, and intimidated, and has extended into the arena of blackmail. So it's not just unique to me and trying to scare me with being sued, putting me up on front page, right? That's the angle they could take for me. I don't have a doctorate for them to investigate. And they wouldn't dare call me and ask me to shut up and to speak favorable of the government when there's nothing favorable to speak about. So it's just not unique to me or Dr. Pear. It can happen to any one of you once you decide to speak out. No wonder why it's just a few of us speaking. The only thing this NDC administration haven't done yet is to pick up persons and put them in jail for speaking out without being charged or convicted. But the mental torture for some is worse than the jail cell. You heard Dr. Pear. What the NDC is doing is criminal. Imagine persons are afraid to listen to my podcast when it's being premiered on a Thursday. For fear their names are being seen in the comment section. So they wait for it to stop. And I've been told that by several persons, especially the public workers. They are afraid. And they dare not leave a comment. They dare not. The Prime Minister calls us enemies of progress. Those of you who pretend not to know what is going on and turn a blind eye, the ones of you who support that type of behavior, the bullying, it's called aiding and abetting. And I dare say God will deal with you all. In similar manner, nurse practitioner Wendy Maguire, president of the Grenada Nurses Association in New York, was demonized in social media over the past few days. And I'll read a post that came under this Anna Augustine's page. And it says, Wendy Maguire, service to citizen in Grenada. Some nurses and doctors at local clinics are concerned to see this nurse presenting herself as an optometrist when there's nowhere the lady said she was an optometrist, right? This situation raises serious concerns, and it is advisable for the Ministry of Health to investigate the credentials of medical personnel to ensure they are appropriately certified in their respective field. Now, if Ms. McGuire is at the hospital with a group of medical personnel, doctors, and other nurses from the US, and the government of Grenada did not do their due diligence, then who's to blame? Who's to blame? Right? That is what you think of your government. We know they're Vike. But this group had to go through the university, the SGU. They had to send all the information there, the certificates. They had to send a police record, their IDs, right? Before they was given the okay. And they were given an ID so that they could come to Grenada. This is their second year helping out the ordinary Grenadian people who have cataracts and who suffer with glaucoma and other eye diseases, right? And because she is openly a supporter of the NNP, you think it's okay to demonize her. She's doing what she was brought here to do, the prepping. I call it prepping. I don't know if there's a different medical term for it, where you do they take the blood pressure and check the blood sugar and stuff like that before they go to see the doctor. When you go to a doctor here, you have a nurse sitting in some cases that do all of that. That's to speed up the process, really. And you are saying that she's here practicing without credentials, and that if she was in America, she would lose her license. Well, what license she would lose? If she have the license to do what she's doing, and she practices in America, what license would she have lost? And you know, you put out this propaganda, and this Anna Gustin, 99% of what they put out are plain old propaganda. Nothing true about it. And that is with the politics, I'm saying. I don't know when they get the police story if it's correct or not. But with the politics and the things they say about people, I have fallen victim to it as well. It don't bother me. I ain't getting no mental health problems from that. That gives me more power, more encouragement to remove them from office, to help remove them from office, to do what I have to do to help the people, to bring the news to the people. If anything else, it has encouraged me more. No mental health there, one bit. And the road we're heading, when I do my programs, I speak the truth. I bring the truth. Some of you may not like it, yeah? Because I'm exposing you. If you say defamation, you take me to court, let's go. Let's go. Right? But I bring the facts. I don't know what else you want me to bring, because I hear you always say I'm lying. And when I say, just tell me one thing that I'm lying about, y'all run for cover. Right? But everybody is not the same. Y'all gonna hurt, y'all are hurting people. And you're not dealing with the issue. Let's deal with the issues and forget the personal attack on people. Now, the Prime Minister left Grenada sometime on the weekend last for the NDC event in Florida. The Florida chapter's third anniversary, the Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell being the special guest, Saturday, November the 8th, 2025. There was no press release informing us who was the acting Prime Minister while he was out. We found out quite by accident at the Memorial Day service when the acting Prime Minister showed up, Minister Philip Telesford. And that's when we knew who the acting Prime Minister was. I did so learn on the weekend, that there is a meeting of the Conference of the Parties in the EU Summit, Caribbean EU Leaders meeting in Santa Marta, Colombia. An environmental meeting which takes place annually. Karine James is the Minister for Climate Resilience, Environment, Renewable Energy, Environment and Renewable Energy. Nonetheless, it seems like Starboy would be out there as well, and that he would be out for the week. Sure enough, on Monday morning, the 10th of November, a statement was released from the office of the Prime Minister. The statement also said that following the summit, Prime Minister Mitchell will travel to Barbados on Wednesday, the 12th of November, 2025, to attend the prestigious Gerber Awards. He is scheduled to return to Grenada on the 13th of November, 2025. During the Prime Minister's absence, the Honorable Philip Telesford, Minister for Health, will serve as acting Prime Minister. At the event in Florida, a proclamation from the city of Lauderhill was read honoring Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell of Grenada. Of course, I have to share this proclamation with you guys. I cannot share that with you. And it reads, honoring the Honorable Deacon Mitchell, Prime Minister of Grenada. Whereas the Honorable Deacon Mitchell, born October the 8th, 1977, in Petite-Esperance, St. David, Grenada, has risen from humble beginnings to become a distinguished attorney, educator, and statesman, serving as the 9th Prime Minister of Grenada. And whereas, grounded in the belief that education is the cornerstone of transformation, Prime Minister Mitchell has often reminded us that education is the antidote to ignorance and the pathway to resilience. It turns survival into sovereignty and a vulnerability into vision. And whereas his career as a teacher, lawyer, and leader has embodied his conviction that every great achievement begins with a simple belief that you can, inspiring Grenadians and the Caribbean diaspora alike to reach for excellence. And whereas under his visionary leadership, Grenada continues to advance towards a just, equitable, and progressive society, one that values its teachers, honors its heritage, and embraces the shared duty of nation building. And whereas the National Democratic Congress of South Florida proudly celebrates its third anniversary, recognizing the unity, service, and enduring connection between Grenada and its people across the diaspora. Now I would have the the mayor read the rest of this proclamation for you.
Vice Mayor Saray Martin, Commissioners Richard Campbell, Melissa P. Dunn, and John Hudson do hereby proclaim that November 8th, 2025 is the Honorable Dixon Mitchell Day in the city of Lauderdale. And it says, in the city of Lauderdale, in recognition for his visionary service to Grenada, his steadfast dedication to the upliftment of his people, and his enduring influence on the Caribbean, and also to the entire world. And I put my seal to this, sir, and we present this to you today. Thank you.
Happy show. What does the mayor, Denise D. Grant, her vice mayor, and commissioners know about Deacon Mitchell and how we, the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit-Martinique, feel about Deacon Mitchell? Distinguished attorney, inspiring Grenadians and the Caribbean diaspora alike to reach for excellence. And whereas under his visionary leadership, Grenada continues to advance towards a just, equitable, and progressive society. Just means fair and honest or morally right. Equitable means fair and impartial, dealing with everyone fairly based on reason and conscience. Just and equitable. Former Minister Jonathan Lecret on Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell.
Kellon, you must have known that coming to the nation and using these two unmeasurable terms, trust and confidence, was going to affect my employability thereafter, that it was going to affect my family thereafter, that it was going to affect practically everything that I've built over the years as somebody who worked in the public service, worked in the private sector, and also led a ministry, spiritual ministry, for the greater part of 9 years, that the person's character, integrity, values will be called into question. And in retrospect, sometimes you sit down and you look back and you wonder, was the objective political calculus? Was it internal party maneuvering? What was it? Because a minister was relieved of his duties way before I was. He was afforded the opportunity of a sit-down, of a dialogue, a conversation. The Prime Minister, along with the Minister, came to the media and they spoke about his exit from cabinet and as to why he's exiting cabinet at this particular point in time, which is to further his studies. Why wasn't I afforded that opportunity? Even if you felt that you came into information that one of your cabinet ministers is divulging data from the cabinet of Grenada or from government, and that the quality of that data has the ability to compromise the governance and leadership structure of the organization, where is the conversation? Where was the dialogue to say, Jonathan, Lucky, whatever you want to say, this is the information I've come into. I'm giving you an opportunity to defend or not to defend the information. And I'll close by saying this. Even in a court of law, the defendant, based on the advice of his lawyer, is given an opportunity to speak in his own defense. And I'm saying to myself, it came across as an execution style exit at the particular point in time, because I felt, as somebody who is astute and intelligent, understand the terrain of law, etc., that you had 101 ways, Dr. Bob. 101 ways Sir could have dealt with that particular situation. Revoked my ministerial appointment and left me as a senator, and you could have placed me anywhere in the public sector to continue my service to the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique with the senatorial title and still working in the Senate of Grenada. You could have placed me on a board or two so that I do not lose the financial package that I was receiving at the time. You know that I have a mortgage. You know that I have vehicular payments at the end of the month and other financial facilities with financial organizations. And I sat for the past 11 months trying to decipher in my mind, because my wife was 5.5, 6 months pregnant at the time of my firing, and she had to be hospitalized because her pressure went to the roof. And I almost lost both of them. But the spiritual attack did not kill us. It did not wipe us out. We maintained our faith in God and our resilience as we stood upon His word, trying to understand what strange thing has come upon us. I am still trying to decipher in my mind up to today. It's water under the bridge. And just to be clear, listen to me, I love those guys, and I made that quite clear when I was exiting the cabinet in July of 2024, because it was indeed a pleasure to serve with all of them. And there's no remorse, there's no bitterness, there's no hatred. This is just me reliving and retelling the story from a better place after almost a year. Yeah, I did wish them all the best in their governance, both party and government, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart. I wish them all the best. I love them. It was a pleasure serving and working with them, but I've moved on because we have parted ways. But when you reflect, you try to ascertain as to why something like this would happen that felt so inhumane and that felt so diabolic. Because to me, if you had any shred of humanity, for human dignity, you would try to see to the best of your ability, even as the leader, how you can cushion the financial effects of this person who was receiving a salary at this level and is now going home to a wife who's a teacher and have to be able to use her salary with 2 children and a baby on the way. So and that's why I said to you initially that for a couple of months, I had to find myself in a space where I needed to pull away from the crowd, not be battling and bantering on social media. That's not my MO. It's not my modus operandi, because I had a family to think about. And to add insult to injury and to go out on social media and to say things and to spew vile and to be bitter about it, that was just not going to do good for the Grenadian public. 1, it was not going to do good for our politics. 2, and as a result of that, there is a generation that's watching. And I was not going to allow my standard to be lowered to that level where I am on social media bickering and bantering and spewing vile and hate, etc. It's not my modus operandi, and it would not be Christ-like and Christian of me to do so, because my Christianity will be called into question. Well, it was anyway, because I was a snitch and a traitor. Yes, and but it is what it is. It's almost a year, and being the leader of the political party of the PNP, as I said to you, I feel as though that I am not finished with my spiritual as well as political service to the nation.
Now, what was equitable and just about what we just heard there? Where is this mayor who allowed the Grenadians in Florida, the Deacon Mitchell support group, who have her given Deacon Mitchell day and all this drama, right? But we're not done, because you see, the ND surrogates accused Minister Lacquette of giving yours truly information on the National Lottery Authority. Up until then, I'd met the gentleman once before the elections, and since then, no contact with this gentleman. But even after he left, after he was fired, to date, I continue to get information on the Lottery Authority. It had nothing to do with Jonathan Lacrette. Nothing, period. Right? Long after he was gone, I continued to receive information on the NLA and every other institution or entity or ministry of government on this tri-island state. Minister Lacrette uncovered the corruption and the theft that took place inside the NLA and continued to take place in there to date. Information our distinguished Prime Minister did not find credible enough to have the main culprit, his friend, his buddy, the chairman of the board of directors, dismissed. Instead, he dismissed Mr. Lacrette. Let's hear Mr. Lacrette on the financial improprieties that took place that he uncovered inside the NLA.
Can you articulate or can you shed some light? I'm not too sure how much you can share. You were just saying here that there were financial improprieties. What were some examples of those financial improprieties that the accounting team, the financial team with the Lotteries Authority shared?
There were large sums of money being paid to a particular organization. And that particular organization was receiving those sums of money for the procurement to investigate the matter. Him and the learned Attorney General, and he insisted. I trusted that the Prime Minister was going to investigate the matter and get back to me with feedback as it relates to their findings. But that did not happen. And weeks passed, and I remember sending 2 very cordial emails to the Prime Minister, just reminding him that we said that we were going to have a sit-down meeting with the Board of Directors of the National Lotteries Authority to ascertain whether or not they are in the know as to what is happening as it relates to my findings. And the questions that I have re the building out of these skills training centers. I am still waiting for a response from these 2 emails. Beryl came first week of July, and that was indeed an opportunity to forget that something was happening at the National Lotteries Authority that needed to be addressed. Yes? And I allowed them the space to be able to take care of Carriacou and Petite Martinique, and also to look after our residents in St. Patrick as well as St. Andrew. And around the 3rd week of July, I did motion to the Prime Minister after a cabinet meeting that I would like to just have a brief chat with him, and he obliged. And we spoke, and I said, Prime Minister, is there going to be a time, and now that, we've gone to Carriacou, we've done assessments, etc., and we're now in the recovery and resilience stage in terms of putting preparations in place for recovery and resilience of Carriacou. Is there a time that we are going to be able to address the issue that I raised re the National Lotteries Authority? I do not know if the Honorable Prime Minister felt that I was prying too much, or maybe he felt that this guy is not letting up on this thing. I can't say. Yes, all I know is I walked into the cabinet on the 31st of July, my appointments were revoked, and I was relieved of my duties.
Yet for our distinguished, just, and equitable Prime Minister found there was no credibility. You heard Mr. Lacrette, and I can tell you that the company he was speaking of that was receiving large sums of money from the lottery authority, large checks, was Catwills Stationery, owned by the chairman of the board, Mr. William Batiste, right? And with this, because Minister Lacrette at the time said he presented the information he got to the Prime Minister and the Cabinet of Grenada, right? The Prime Minister found there was no credibility or no credible reason to have his buddy, his friend and colleague, nation builder, Mr. William Batiste, dismissed. Instead, he dismissed the whistleblower. Here is what the Prime Minister had to say on that.
Would things like that worry you in terms of the optics politically? I mean,
No, I think
we are transparent.
There are a bunch of people now with too much
Time on their hands trying to get their job back because of corruption issues.
we're as transparent a government, I think, as Grenada has seen in my lifetime, for sure. And I think if any issues arises and there's credible evidence of stuff, as a Prime Minister, I'm prepared to deal with it. But what I will not...
Did you look into the lotto matter, though?
Yes, I looked at...
Because I looked into it, and there seemed to have been a bit of credibility to some of the issues.
I looked into the issue, and I just said to you, which is why I talked about how you handle conflicts in terms of what the legislation says and what has to happen, right? So I'm saying when people just simply make spurious allegations and come up with all kinds of fanciful stuff, you have to be careful that you don't allow people to draw you in and to make decisions as if you are Jesus Christ and he who is without sin cast the first stone. I'm saying the very nature of our laws recognize that you have situations where someone who serves on a board may have their firm or their business and so on bidding for work that a particular entity is offering. And there's a process and procedure that has to be followed. So I'm saying if someone makes, and you're saying, do I look into the lotto thing simply because I'm hearing media allegations? If someone makes a credible accusation, we will obviously investigate it and then we make necessary decisions that has to be made. But too often, and I think the National Democratic Congress government in the past was allowed itself to be hoodwinked into trying to go after its own and into trying to punish its own and to hold itself to that standard that's almost impossible. When other people are doing all kind of things left, right, and center and getting away with it. So I'm saying we are living in a society where nobody's perfect. And we have to be careful that we don't try and hold people in public office to a perfect standard and then try to hold them at that.
So she looked into it. That's the most accredited journalist in Grenada, you know that, right? So she looked into it and did nothing. Why? Because I'm living my best life at this point in time. So Mr. Just and Equitable had a deputy commissioner of police reverted to the rank of superintendent even after his performance appraisal signed by the then commissioner of police, Mr. Edwin Martin, defined his performance as significantly exceeds expectation. So it had to be political because his wife was then and still is a member of parliament of the opposition party. Now, this gentleman, Mr. Tafawa Pay, has had an impeccable career of 34 years, Madam Mayor, 34 years of service to the state of Grenada up until he was forced into retirement because his wife became the political leader of the opposition party, the NNP. Now, here is what he was told by audio by the PSC, the Public Service Commission. Has the audio.
Good morning.
Morning, sir. Have a seat. We will introduce ourselves first. We wanted to relax. I just
I'm
you look a
relaxed.
little-
The only thing is the letter didn't say I was meeting a group.
The commission. This is the commission.
I know the commission.
So did you interpret it to mean you were going to meet just the chairman or the CPO?
I think so. That's okay.
Yes, yes. Well, we are the commission. We don't act individuals as individuals. We act as the commission. Yes. So I am the chair. My name is Deborah Sageman. And I am the chair. Faith Thompson. Judy Benmore.
Bernard Twine.
James Alexander, Veteran Review. And this is the teachers representative. This is the public workers union representative. These two individuals represent the government. Yes, Mr. Pierre. Well, first of all, we want to thank you for obliging and agreeing to make this appearance today. We will get straight to the matter, Mr. Pierre. As a senior official of the Royal Grenada Police Force, in your position as superintendent, you will appreciate that with the change of the status of your wife, in terms of her political endeavors, she's now the leader of the party, and she is conducting her quest to be successful at the next general election, of course. And you as her husband, we expect you to support her fully. And in fact, I don't think you have been shy about it. You are in full support of your wife, and this is reasonable. She's your wife, and you have to support her in what she does. Oh, one of the things I should have made clear, this is a meeting that we will appreciate will be confidential between us. As in your position and in your day-to-day responsibility of being responsible as one of the people in the management of the national security of the country, the whole aspect of confidentiality is important. So we appreciate the position you're in as a supportive husband, which is very good, very good. What the issue is, Mr. Pierre, the leadership of national security in the country, which includes, of course, the top management of the force, the minister, everybody, they have to have confidence in you as a fellow senior member. And from everything that has happened since your wife became the leader, it is quite clear that your intention is to support her fully. And that is appreciated by all of us here. In fact, we want to support you in that endeavor. In those circumstances, we think some serious decisions have to be made. Now, when we checked your personal file, we see that you have given your entire career before. You are in excess of 30 years from the record of service. And you are over the age of 50. What that means is you can ask to be released and to get your benefits, your full benefits that you work for. So that is where we are, sir, and we would like to hear what you have to say in terms of where you think you are.
Now, just to say here, the minister that the chairman, Ms. Deborah St. Bernard, was speaking about there and referring to there is the Minister of National Security, who is the Prime Minister of Grenada, Deacon Mitchell. Now, that sentiment was also placed in a letter to Mr. Tafawa Pay, dated the 19th of February 2025, from the Public Service Commission, and I quote, "Given your current personal circumstances and your expected and demonstrated support for your wife in her new role as leader of the opposition political party, the leadership of the national security no longer has confidence in you as a senior officer and part of the management of the Royal Grenada Police Force to discharge your duties impartially," end of quote. Even with an impeccable career as his, right? They didn't even give him a chance to see if he would discharge his duties impartially. He was running the training school, right? Now, in a letter, his dismissal letter, so to speak, from the Commissioner of Police, Mr. Randy Connaught, he backed this up when he said here, it said here, police officer of the Royal Grenada Police Force. No, let me go up one. Let me go up one to make it, yeah. Attested at police headquarters the 16th of August 1991. Police officer in the Royal Grenada Police Force at the age of 18 years old. Retired from the Royal Grenada Police Force the 10th of August 2025. He has served 33 years and 358 days. So that's almost 34 years. His conduct and character while in the force was highly commendable, and it is signed by the at police headquarters, Fort George, St. George's, the 6th day of August 2025, by the Commissioner of Police, right? His conduct and character while in the police force was highly commendable. So you see, Madam Mayor Denise D. Grant, you've been hoodwinked into making a false proclamation in Mr. Tafawa Pairs' certificate of discharge from the Royal Grenada Police Force. Highly commendable. And so, Madam Mayor Denise Grant, there is nothing just about the treatment meted out to Mr. Tafawa Pair. His forced dismissal from the RGPF. You see, Mayor Denise D. Grant, this so-called visionary prime minister and political leader of the Deacon Mitchell-led administration or NDC party, in essence, what he has done is hurt the Grenadian people. It hurt the Grenadian people, individually and collectively. Folks, I'll stop here. We'll continue this next week. Folks, before we wrap, I have a few questions that I need to ask. And the first one, well, it's a statement really. And Simon says he's happy to announce that the government of Grenada is planning to regularize all temporary or workers in acting positions by January of 2026. Though it's an election ploy, It is well received because it will benefit, as long as it will benefit the workers. Though they have no monies, we can tell that it is a ploy, an election ploy. It's a good thing. They won't be around much longer. And the NMP has a way of bringing back the economy. And so the workers don't have to worry about being paid. Because right now we have public servants, teachers, etc., going 2 months, 3 months without pay. They broke, right? So if this and the orders was given, it must be done by January. So folks, go there and get registered. It's around the corner. It's around the corner. Now, question, what is the status with the Postal Corporation? The project on the carronage that was being retrofitted to house the Postal Corporation, what's going on there? I was told it was stopped to revisit. Well, no, the revisit is still going on. The revisiting is still going on. When is work going to be resumed? Is it true the managing director of the Postal Corporation, Mr. Randall Robinson, spent all the monies in travel and having a great time? They love to have a great time at the NDC. They just love to have a great time. Like they did in Taraba, whining and dining. Always in Dubai. The general manager of the Postal Corporation was posing in Dubai just recently. Over $800,000 spent on the carronage already for retrofitting the space. And it's not close to being ready. Well, workers halted there too. The people need an audit of the Postal Corporation along with the National Lottery Authority, Gravel and Concrete, the Grenada Development Bank, the NTRC, the NOC, and that $22.5 million. We still need to know what happened to that money. The Cannabis Commission, the Ministry of MIT, the Ministry of Infrastructure, the IMA, the Creative Desk, the Build Back Better Project, Project 500, the Housing Authority. Question, as I say, Housing Authority. Is the Housing Authority about to ask the residents and owners of the property in Mount Rush, the housing project there, to pay for the lands their houses are now sitting on, like they did to the Lackalome property owners? Is that what it is? Why are they cutting down the vegetation that the residents have planted? The banana trees, the citrus trees, the fruit trees, the vegetation. Why are they cutting them down without even asking? Question, why were the keys taken back from the people of Carriacou and the Petite Martinique for the gifted Chinese housing project? The gift from the People's Republic of China to the people of Grenada. We have not heard anything about that as yet. Are the houses occupied as we speak? If so, by whom? How inhumane can you guys be? And even after the Hurricane Beryl, when persons needed a place, a dry place to rest their heads, they were put out in the streets. Keys were handed over to persons for that housing project. Why were they taken back? And there is a message from the CBI as we speak on the revocation of the IMA, right? IMA Grenada, same thing, CBI, on the revocation of let me just read it here. November the 5th, 2025, further to the circular number 7 of 2025, dated June 6, 2025. Please be advised that on November the 3rd, 2025, the government of Grenada permanently revoked Reef View Enterprises Limited status as a licensed local agent under the Grenada Citizenship by Investment Act number 15 of 2013 as amended. In accordance to section 4.6 and 4.7, the Act and pursuant to the authorization granted by the Minister, the Investment Migration Agency, IMA, has implemented the revocation with immediate effect. This decision follows the Investment Migration Agency prior suspension notice, during which stakeholders were introduced to cease all engagements with Reef View Entertainment Limited, pending the outcome of the investigations. Pursuant to Section 4.6 and Section 4.7, the Act, and in accordance with the Government of Grenada directive, the agency has now implemented the permanent revocation of Reef View Enterprise Limited local agent status. The company is therefore no longer authorized to operate, represent, or conduct any business under the Citizenship by Investment Program of Grenada. The agency thanks all stakeholders for their cooperation during the suspension period and for their continued commitment to uphold the standards and the integrity of the program. Now, this here is to do with the gentleman, Mr. Bishop, and his company, Reef View Enterprise Limited. Now, they're saying here that the government of Grenada permanently revoked Reef View Enterprise. The government of Grenada cannot do that. According to the Act, it's the minister responsible, who is the Prime Minister of Grenada, the Honorable Deacon Mitchell. Shield him. We know Mr. Bishop was his friend and all of that. Don't shield him. The Prime Minister is the one responsible for the revocation of the license. And so we'll see how that goes. Finally, Simon Says, been asking about what's going on there with Mr. Bishop and his license. Folks, that's a wrap on today's episode of Simon Says. It's always a pleasure conversing with you, trying to keep them honest. Thank you for viewing yet another episode of Simon Says, where facts come first. I'm your host, Jenny Simon. See you next week, same time, same place. Don't forget to join us this evening on WeFM Radio for Simon Says 2.0, the radio version.
Thank you for tuning in to Simon Says. To ensure that you never miss an episode, click subscribe and make sure to turn on the notifications by clicking on the notification bell icon. See you at the next episode.